Hey guys, Trevor Burris here with Love It Properties. I want to put together a quick video just to give you a quick market update, to show you kind of some experiences that I'm having right now in the market, to share some common experiences that our firm is having. I by no means have all the answers to what's going on, but I'm getting asked the same questions over and over again. Where do you think the market's going? And so I don't have a crystal ball, I'm not a fortune teller, but I can help you hopefully understand from some of our experiences what's going on and if this is a good time or not for you to be thinking about purchasing in this market. I'll outline some of the advantages to this current market, and hopefully that will be helpful in just kind of answering some of your questions. You may just be curious. You may have just purchased a home, a few months ago, and you're wondering, is my equity secure? What's going on? Or you may actually be thinking about purchasing your first home, or selling your current home and getting into something new, or even investing in real estate right now. And I just wanted to outline some things that I'm seeing. So hopefully your curiosity is already piqued, and this will just help you investigate a little further and make the right decisions right now to help your future. So let's dive in, talk about what's going on. So when I bump into anyone on the street or in a coffee shop, the first question I get is, what is going on with the market right now? Fair question, because we just went from the hottest market I've ever seen this spring to a complete cool down where the competition just gave up and left and walked away. And so that was a huge flip, obviously motivated by a lot of factors. The biggest one probably being the interest rate hikes that the Federal Reserve has been doing over the past several months. And so it's just caused the market to dramatically shift really quickly. And a lot of people are going, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where it's going. And honestly, I'm looking at it. A lot of folks in my firm are looking at this like it's an awesome opportunity. And so most people are just asking those questions. What's going on? Can you dissect this for us? Can you show us what's going on? Can you answer some questions? And that's why I wanted to do this video, to just kind of point out what we see as an advantageous time to be thinking about purchasing right now. So let's jump right in and talk about what are some of these advantages and why this is the right time. A lot of people just assume that the market is completely on pause right now, but that's not necessarily true. What we saw in the spring was some of the craziest competition, but also some of the lowest inventory historically. Actually, the funny thing is, right now, as of June data that we have more inventory in the market than we had any month during the spring. So when the chaotic competition was occurring, there were less homes available than there are right now, even though the market has completely cooled off. That's a huge advantage to buyers when you think about, man, I don't have to do what I did back in the spring in order to get a house. I can be a little more level-headed, I can make more sound judgment, take my time to make a good decision in this market because there's more homes to choose from, and yet I don't have to put out all that chaos of competition that I would have put out in the spring. Crazy advantage. And I think inventory is only going up, which is even a greater possibility to think about, that you don't have to jump on the first thing you see or make a snap judgment in order to get into a home, but you can take your time, you can make a wise decision, you can come in sometimes at asking, sometimes below asking in this market, get a great deal on a home, and you don't have to be as risky as you've been in the past. One thing a lot of my buyers really love about this market is houses are actually staying on the market longer. No longer do they have to show up the day it goes on the market and just make a snap decision as to whether or not this is the house for their next 10 to 20 years, right? That's a scary decision to make in all of 30 minutes, right, of seeing a home. Now we get days, sometimes weeks to make that decision. And a lot of times that even turns into us negotiating a price that is lower than what the seller has listed for. So it's a great time to give some advantages to the buyer in order to help you make a really good decision. Because there's less competition, you're not overpaying in this market. That was just a common theme, to throw down $20,000 to $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 over their asking price, even if their asking price was already set at what it should appraise for. Now we get our chance to come in and say, I'm going to offer something that is reasonable on this home. You might be offering at asking. You might even be able to get away with offering below asking. There's many opportunities like that out there because you don't have 20 offers on every house. So it just gives you a more reasonable place to start when purchasing a home. Let's talk about contingencies. It was a non-existent option for buyers in this past market for you to present an offer that was contingent upon selling your home. Or if you wanted to buy a new construction home, for you to come to the builder and say, hey, I need to sell my home before closing on your home, even if that home may take 6 months to finish. The builder or the seller would just say, no, I'm not going to allow you to be a contingent buyer. Well, since this market is slowing down, it's allowing buyers more options because sellers are more desperate to offload their homes. They're trying to work with buyers that need to sell first, and builders are changing their tune, and other sellers are just more open. I've gotten more contracts accepted that were contingent than I have in the past months at all. And so it's a really great time to be thinking about making that transition between selling an old home and getting into a new home. In a lot of competitive markets, you don't have that option. In this market, you can. So it's a great time for those types of buyers. So a lot of people are afraid that to jump in the market right now, it's just overpriced. Prices are going to dramatically decrease over the next couple of years. They're afraid the interest rates are too high, so it makes the cost of living dramatically too high. And this is the biggest concern with anyone, right, that's looking to buy in this market. I think, though, that it's of my opinion, it's of our firm's opinion, it's of a lot of very smart financial economic wizards out there that, there's some markets that the prices will reverse dramatically, but Raleigh is not one of them. We have so much growth positioned for our area that odds are our values are only going to continue to increase. Even if we have a nationwide recession, the values of the Raleigh market will continue to go up because we are technically still underpriced compared to most areas of growth within the United States. And what that basically means is you've got people coming from California, the Northwest, New York, Austin, Texas, like those really valuable markets that have just exploded over the last couple of years. And they're going, hey, these markets are imploding now. I need to move my money. I need to move my wealth into something that is growing. And guess what? That Raleigh market is receiving a ton of those people. They're still moving here because of the growth of business. The economy in Raleigh is just super solid, and Durham. They're both just growing off the charts. And so it's a wise decision for a lot of other markets to move their money into ours, which means our prices are going to keep going up with that competition, with that flow of money into our market. And so my advice to anyone is don't wait. Prices are not going to stay or even reverse in this market. They're probably only going to go up. Now, interest rates are going to move, right? Those are flexible. They change over time all the time. And odds are if we go into a significant recession, interest rates will come back down. So even if you have to take a higher interest rate right now, it probably won't last for more than 3 to 5 years, and you can refinance and get back into something else. But it's also worth noting that, it's a pretty dramatic increase for people to think about. Just a few months ago, I could have paid this much for a house, and now I'm suddenly paying $300 to $500 more a month in interest. That's just wasted money. That's burned money you're paying to your lender, basically, that is enabling you to have a mortgage. That's a huge increase in monthly costs. And so people are rightfully freaking out about the increase. I don't want to spend $300 to $500 extra a month. And that technically would be fixed for the course of 30 years. It's scary, I get it. But the reality is probably at some point in the future, you'll be able to refinance and get into a better rate. And that's not the only option. Right now, there are options that enable you to get into lower interest rates than that 6 to 7% interest rate that everyone is just swallowing right now. And I want to talk about a few of those options because I think it might be helpful. one of the common options that lenders are starting to push out there as a contingency plan in terms of not having to take that high interest rate are buy down options. If you have some extra cash that you're willing to invest, you might be able to put less money down on the home and inject more money into buying down your interest rate. That can be a permanent buy down. You can buy it down for a fixed interest rate that's going to last for 30 years, and you just pay those points at closing to offset. And a lot of my folks are getting down into the fours, some of them even down at like 4% interest rates right now. Even though they're astronomically high, they can buy it down enough to fix their interest rate over the course of the loan. And that's way cheaper than letting that interest rate hit you over the course of 10 to 15 years and take away money out of your pocket every single month. It's going to pay for itself really quickly. Another option is lenders are doing kind of a cheaper buy down, which is only temporary. You can basically buy your interest rate down for the first year you have the loan. There's one that called me the other day and wanted to talk to me about a 2-1 buy down they're offering. Basically, for the first year of the loan, you're buying it down 2%, which means if you have a 6% interest rate for the first year, you're only paying 4% interest. The next year, it goes to a 1% buy down, which means you're only paying 1% interest for that next year. So that's 2 years that you're sub what the rest of the market is paying for a fixed interest rate. And then at any point in that 2 years, if you want to refinance, you can change before you get to that 6% interest rate that you actually accepted. So it's a temporary and a cheaper way to buy that down. And it's just a cool option for people that are just like, I just can't afford that high of an interest rate right now. I mean, there's a couple of great options right there. Another one that's being offered a lot are adjustable rate mortgages that have a fixed session set into them when you first start the loan. So a lot of times those are called 5-1 arms or 7-1 arms. Basically, that means you fix your interest rate for the course of 5 to 7 years, and it's going to be a significantly lower interest rate than what the rest of the market can pay for a 30-year conventional mortgage. So you may be paying 4.5% for the first 5 years of that loan, whereas the rest of the market's paying 6.5%, right? That's a huge cost saving for 5 whole years. It's fixed, it stays there, it can't move. Then it goes into an adjustable rate mortgage, but that adjust does not just automatically shoot up 10%. It's only allowed to adjust by a certain amount over the course of a year or even several years. So you have a lot of time to think about refinancing, getting into something. By then you may have a ton of equity that you can refinance and get an even lower interest rate, because now you have 30 to 40% equity in your home over the course of 5 to 10 years. So it's an advantage to take advantage of some of these incentives they're offering right now, get into just owning a home, building equity, because if the market does keep to go up, which I think it will, your value of your home is going to keep going up, and that's ultimately going to pay off any kind of disincentive of taking a higher interest rate right now. So in my opinion, interest rates are kind of neither here nor there. Like, accept a higher interest rate now, that kind of stinks. It's a higher payment, but ultimately it's so much better than waiting on the sidelines for a few years to see what will happen with the market. And I guarantee the market's only going to go up. So again, guys, I'm no wizard. I have no crystal ball. I can't see if this market is absolutely going to continue to increase in value. But what I do know is that rent prices are absolutely increasing in value. There's no question about that. Across the board, I'm being told by folks that are still renting right now that it's just getting ridiculous. It's almost pushing them out of renting just because they can't afford to stay in a 2-bedroom apartment or something like that when they could be purchasing a house for way less monthly, even with the higher interest rates than what they're paying for that rental. No question in my mind, it's better to be purchasing right now than it is to be waiting. And so if you have more questions, I would love to jump into more details with you, give you some more experience, especially if you're thinking about selling right now. That's a whole different question. And a lot of people are just afraid, like, man, if I need to sell, am I going to find a buyer? How am I going to make this work? I've come up with some great options that make your listing more enticing than anyone else's out there, and will get you sold quickly and enable you to move on to that next home in this season. It's actually a great time to be thinking about purchasing. So let's chat, reach out. I would love to talk more about this with you guys. If you have questions, just grab some coffee, some lunch, and discuss what's going on and if this is the right move for you. It's not going to be right for everybody, but I do think for most people, this is still a great market to be looking in and thinking about purchasing. So there's your update, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that answered some of your questions. If you have any more, reach out. I'd be happy to talk.